The clips from the telenovela that are showing were shot in 2007. The telenovela is called Fea y Rebelde, and they were shot during a moment of very political, exciting moments. Um, Mexico had two presidents, Felipe Calderón and Andrés Manuel López Obrador, and I was working within the Otra Campaña Zapatista, which was a political campaign led by Subcomandante Marcos of the Ejército Zapatista de Liberación Nacional, who had decided not to engage in any kind of official politics or electoral politics and decided to focus on a more autonomous approach. I was working in two sections. One of them was in doing the internet security and web hosting of the servers, but as well I was very involved in working with the other culture. Part of this meant for me trying to generate new modes of approaching culture than the ones that are done by the state cultural official politics. As you know, in Mexico, most of the culture that it's funded by the state. I mean, the arts, right? As you know, Mexico it's a country of contrasts, and were I to talk to a certain kind of people, they would say, narrative is dead. It's the end of that period. Now everything is more about information. But if I was to talk to another type of people, they would say, come on, like look at what the telenovelas are doing. Telenovelas are more and more becoming global. Now they're being distributed to Spain or Brazil. I mean, the Mexicans one were being exported, or how about Ugly Betty, Betty La Fea, which was becoming a global phenomenon. And this is like a telenovela that is based on the ugly duck, the Danish ugly duck. So it means it has been enjoying a long life, and it's morphing from the melodrama that it was originally, then to become after many years a telenovela and then a sitcom with Salma Hayek and all these people, right? But really what I was interested in was creating telenovelas for the Otra Campaña, right? I thought if nothing is going to change if there's not another aesthetics, another vision, how can another world be born if we don't have another way of looking at things or doing things, right? And so I was noticing that a lot of my colleagues were watching the mainstream media, and I thought, no way, we have to have our own telenovelas. And so I started doing Fea y Rebelde. In Fea, which means ugly, I was challenging the traditional notions of ugliness, and I was focusing in a character of an actress which is beautiful on the outside but very evil on the inside. And as for Rebelde, Rebel, I was focusing on not on on what was becoming the standard idea of rebel, someone who is like doing drugs and driving fast cars, or this kind of like high class or upper class teenagers, no? Instead I was focusing on a more, I would say, day-to-day rebel who attends meetings, posts things online, goes to interview people, and it's part of a more, like, I would say, sustainable approach to rebelliousness than just, becoming a consumer. But why was I interested in this? Well, I would say because I could see that, just like in the 1984 novel by George Orwell, these two concepts of ugly and rebel were being hijacked and transformed by mainstream media, right? And somehow I wanted to challenge that. No, and the thing that happened is that eventually, I started posting these videos on YouTube, mainly because this was supposed to be like a kind of public space, the new kind of public space in then by then kind of new Web 2.0. Although I didn't believe that it was public space. Being someone that arrived on the internet when there was still a Usenet and not so many commercial developments online. So anyhow, I posted it there. And one morning or afternoon, I don't really remember, I received an email from YouTube saying that my videos were infringing Televisa copyright and that they were deleted. And I was really amazed because even though I used the words ugly and rebel, which are used in some of their telenovelas. I'm not really doing anything with their copyright. I'm just using words. And so I thought, damn, these people really do think they own the concepts. And probably the worst part is maybe they do own the concepts. So what I did afterwards is like get in touch with the Electronic Frontier Foundation to try and see what could be done so that these videos could stay hosted in YouTube. And basically what they told me is it could be a very long case, which I might lose for any kind of technicality. So it probably was better just to accept that they were deleted and post them into the own server that I was administering. But that was like after point, because I wanted to have them on YouTube because it was supposed to be a public space, right? The place where everyone was hanging out, kind of like digital Zócalo or digital public square. And so this leads me to another point. One of the problematic things also that Electronic Frontier Foundation found was that I had taped part of this video in the part of the Shakira concert that part does infringe copyright issues, because I basically taped a concert and made like a telenovela or a movie there. So basically what they said is that apart from Shakira copyright, Televisa, or a company owned by Televisa, Ocesa, owned the rights to any kind of music presentation or theater presentation in that plaza. This was because the leftist city government had signed the rights to them. So anyhow, what I was facing at that moment is kind of like the impossibility that me as a fan of both Shakira and Subcomandante Marcos had on kind of like remixing or reinterpreting what I knew of them and creating a telenovela about the mediated reality, where I was working with these electronic tools that could do a kind of Alexander Zastruk camera stilo, but on the other side, living in a reality where everything was more or less copyrighted. And what really amazed me is that even the super dogmatic Mexico City fan club of Shakira reacted in a much more friendly way, even if they were upset. They decided that they had to defend our right to express ourselves than Televisa, who basically didn't care about our files and ended up just erasing them completely from the net. Funny thing was that this time they were not protecting any kind of images or texts or ideas belonging to them, but just things that happening on the streets or concepts that were morphing the political reality of the country at that time. Which maybe says a lot about what the real business of Televisa is, or maybe not. Anyhow, I continued working with telenovelas, I continued working with the music or the voice of other Sony divas like Shakira and Beyonce and others. And of course, I continued working with the Otra Cultura Zapatista and trying to find other ways to do media culture.